When we log in, the landing page shows all traces. These are all of the active traces that are in progress by all the staff members within a particular group. And the users have the ability to filter these by trace creator, assigned tracer, create a date start, create a date end, status, and other criteria. If we go into the creator dropdown and change that to show all creators, we can now see that records lay here that have the trace status as new. Our platform has the ability to ingest data from a variety of sources that are made available relative to individuals who have been tested for COVID-19. Those can be ingested and imported into the system. And then before they're loaded into the dashboard where the users or the tracers have access to them, we can actually cross-match those results with additional data sources, including the Thomson Reuters Clear data. If you see the record here, Marvin Martian, that now shows trace status new, we'll click on Marvin and you see over on the right how his small profile or mini profile is populated here. This would be the information that would have come in relative to his test from the health department. And if we click on his trace profile, we're now able to see that the tracer has a body of information available for them to work with before even picking up the phone for the first time to make contact with Marvin. That's because we've run Marvin in batch with the Thomson Reuters Clear data to identify family members, associates, or those that he's cohabitated with and potentially then could have had contact with during the period of time where he was contagious. The tracer can work through these potential contacts and either confirm them or remove them from the trace, depending on the information that they receive from Marvin. In addition, the tracer has the ability to add contacts and in real time import the contact information for those individuals from the Thomson Reuters Clear platform. Let's take a look at another record here. In this case, this has been started and we're already working on. You can see the trace status is in progress and the tracer is J. Nelson. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at his trace profile. There are several prompts that help the tracer recognize work steps that still need to be completed. So down here on the trace status, that needs to be updated and the prompt was giving the tracer that information. Let's take a look at some of the other information that has been completed. So you can see in the center section here, we have the source with the Thomson Reuters logo. These were contacts that were added into Clark's profile as a result of that Thomson Reuters Clear batch process. But in addition, you see these other icons indicating other sources of information. The notepad icon reflects information that was provided by the primary subject to the contact tracer. The calendar icon indicates instances where we have integration with calendar information. Where you see the Wi-Fi icon, that's another optional advantage of our platform, which would be integration with location based upon Wi-Fi. Once they connect on campus or on the work site, their location information and others who shared close proximity location information can again be automatically loaded into the trace to help identify individuals that may have had contact with a newly tested positive primary subject. Let's take a look at editing. So editing is where the tracer can edit the information that's been auto-populated for a particular contact. Once you speak with Ellen, you may learn that she has a second phone number or some additional information that you'd like to add. So this is where the tracer would add that information here. They can also update things like the notification status, infection status, and other relevant information. So here, let's go ahead and say we've notified and then click Save. Another thing that the tracer can do as they're working through the different contacts within the trace is they have the ability to view and add notes. And here I'm going to show you some of the ways that the tracer can enter notes. Maybe they've tried to contact the individual, got a wrong phone number, whatever the case might be. This is where the tracer would enter that information. By clicking Add Note, the drop-down menus populate for different scenarios involving that particular note that needs to be entered. For this example, we're going to show a symptom checkup, and we're going to select this and say symptom tracking. The symptoms and the checklist that you see here comes directly from the CDC guidance relative to COVID-19 and the variety of symptoms that should be assessed when speaking with contacts. So the tracer would go through and check through yes, no, or unknown as they're working through these symptoms, and then save that information in the worksheet. Based on what the tracer enters, the system will prompt the tracer with any guidance or concerns that are identified based on the symptoms that have been reported. A couple other things I want to show you is there's some buttons here across the top with some additional activity that the tracer can complete. The tracer has the ability to export this trace profile, including the contacts and their information, to a variety of formats. They have the ability to add that contact, and then you also have the ability to move in and view trace networks, and then you have the ability to work through some geospatial mapping capabilities as well. So let's take a look at some of these. We'll go into Network Tracer. These network charts can be really, really helpful, and essentially the query is already built and loaded and just needs the information of the subject that you would like to load into the trace network. So in this example chart where we've got our patient 0 here in the center and the way that he's made contacts and potentially exposed other individuals and then their test status. So for example, patient 0 is here, had contact with Mark, he's tested positive, and now here's the people that Mark had contact with who've now also tested positive. The ones without the pluses have no positive test result. When you click on any node within the trace network, you can receive the additional information about that particular individual, contact information, trace status, and then you can actually view their full trace profile by clicking on their name. Once you have your network diagram built, you can view that over time or temporally by using these DVD-like controls on the bottom. You have the ability to view this network on a map. And this is based on the residential location known for each of the individuals within the trace network. You can export the trace network. You can save it to a variety of formats, and you can also print it. Taking a look over here at geospatial, let's look at a couple of ways in which the geospatial technologies that are integrated into the contact trace dashboard can help staff view the particular individuals and traces geospatially. And there is ability to filter this map based on either tracers or infection status. You can go into a select trace network. So if there's a particular trace network that you want to be able to visualize, you can do that and make that selection within the map as well. Last thing I'd like to show you here in the contact trace dashboard today is the reporting capabilities. These reports, in many cases, integrate key performance indicators and metrics that have been suggested as best practices from the CDC, the WHO, and other governmental entities. So here's an example of a planning report by county. So you can see across the top, statewide numbers, and then the next group here is the drill down into LA County. Your KPIs and your numbers populated here. Again, these come from the CDC.